Have you ever said to yourself something along the lines of, you know what? I need more clients. Here I wanted to have a Reiki business and it's crickets. Like, I need more clients. Maybe you've said to yourself, I feel like maybe I need more practice giving sessions. I need more experience in the energy. How can I have a Reiki business if I think I need more experience? Um, Also, if you're looking at getting clients and thinking about advertising, if you're just starting your Reiki business, you probably don't have an advertising budget. So we don't want to do all that stuff. So again, let's concentrate on what you really do want to do, and that is seeing clients. So, number one, I want to tell you I have a strategy to lower the threshold for new people to come into your practice. What is really important for us to think about as Reiki business owners is in order for your business to succeed, you not only need clients to continually find your practice and sign up for that first session, you also need returning clients, right? I mean, we need a balance. You're not going to just see one client one time and they're gone forever, hopefully. Usually there's a a percentage, I would say, for myself, I probably had about 60% when I did the strategy that would come back into my practice, which I think is pretty good when you're casting a net really, really wide. So the thing is, we need to attract new clients and we need to retain them. Again, what are we investing in? Really great sessions once we get them there, right? And so, of course, if we do that, it's going to bring those clients back. They're going to be returning clients. So, the bread and butter, the foundation of your Reiki business is the returning client. And then that returning client will often become a student if you teach classes. So, we see new clients come in, and then we see returning clients, and then those returning clients become part of our membership or part of our teaching, and so we can have this whole trajectory. It all starts though with a new client, because you cannot have a returning client unless they come the first time. So how are you going to get them in the door?
Sometimes when it comes to community, sometimes we need to create the community that we want. And sometimes we want to have a particular kind of community and we want to create that community. And so if there is a community that you want to see and to have, you can create it. Why not you, right? Why not you? You don't have to wait for someone else to create it. As a matter of fact, with the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group, for a few years, I was like, someone should create this community. Why don't we have this community? We should have this specific Facebook group just for Reiki business. Someone needs to do that. And then finally, I was like, I need to do that. We need the community and I'm just going to do it. And so here we are with the Reiki Business Collective. When we find that there's a community that we might want or need, we have the power to create that community. So if you're looking around in your own community and you're saying, someone should create that community, why not you? Several years ago, I was having a conversation with another Reiki practitioner, and she told me that she was thinking of leaving her town and relocating. And she said, I'm thinking of moving because the community just isn't there. The community just isn't there. Now, this blew my mind because I had been to her community. I was familiar with her town, and it wasn't a huge town. It was about 100,000 people, which is not really big, but it's also not a small town, right? 100,000 people is a good chunk of people to be able to hang out with and find like-minded people in. Not only that, there was a crystal shop, at least one crystal shop in this town. And so the community indeed was there, The problem was that no one had created the space for the community to gather. And so, no matter where you are in the world, maybe you too are in a small town. Maybe you are looking around your small town and you're saying, there's nobody here like me. There are no like-minded people. No, indeed, we are everywhere. People like us are all over the place and we are everywhere. The problem is that so often we just simply don't have someone bringing us together. We don't have someone acting like the lighthouse to bring us together. And so that can be you. Why not you? I'm going to give you a roadmap to doing just that, for creating community, for defining your tribe and building it, and creating impactful communities for your Reiki business.
If you are going to have a professional Reiki business, your social media needs to reflect your voice. What do you want to say? What's your inner truth? What's your authentic message? Who are you speaking to, and what do you want them to know about you and the Reiki solutions and resources that you provide? Who is your ideal client? Your ideal client is waiting for you to show up as your authentic self. And that's how they find you. When you are in your authentic presentation of your Reiki business identity, that's how they find you, because you resonate with them. And as we know, Reiki energy orchestrates all of this. There is some kind of a grand orchestration that happens that we talk about all the time, like how people find each other, the right teacher, the right student, the resonance between a client and a practitioner, just showing up as your authentic self. So then your ideal client can also be called an avatar. That's another thing. And all that is, it took me so long to understand what that meant, was, to me, the bottom line is, who are you talking to? Like, how do you imagine the people that you're speaking to? And mostly you can look at yourself and look at you and what were the questions you were asking. And who are you speaking to? What do they need? That's the biggest thing. Is, yes, do people care about your credentials? But most of all, how does who you are and what you do help them solve their problems? What is it that you share that can make a difference in their life? Who are they? Imagine yourself speaking to them, because that is what you are doing with your entire business identity.
That's one of the biggest keys in terms of, I think, the way that we can navigate it, especially as introverts, as highly sensitive people, thinking that, oh, we have to, be out there and be, in the spotlight and things like that. It's just not really going to work for most of us. For some of us, maybe. But yeah, for me, I love to write. I always have. I like to read and I like to write, and I'm kind of more inward like that. So for me, writing an email or writing a blog post or something like that is just something that really, that's going to live in the world. And, my maybe a social media post is going to be kind of lost over time. But if I create a blog post, it's going to be evergreen. People are always going to find it. It'll even have SEO associated with it. So those are great things to think about. People are going to find you maybe from an immediate social media post, or from like a long-term, blog post or an article or something like that, that just shows up. I think that's really cool, because I don't love the feeling of like being out there and being, visible. Even the word visibility is kind of scary. But to think like, oh, someone found me, somebody found Reiki through me. that's a nice feeling. It's kind of like, oh, I'm just doing my work. I'm going about, the living Reiki, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, living my purpose. And someone has kind of found that and tapped into it and said, oh, I want to be part of that. It's always hard when you have a client come to you and they're like, oh, this really isn't what I was thinking, what it was going to be. And you feel disappointed, like, oh, that's wasn't such a great interaction, maybe. But if people know kind of what to expect before they get to you, they're going to be all in. They're going to be thrilled once they're there because they've already heard like maybe your voice through your writing, or they've seen your picture, or maybe they saw like a short little video of you or something like that, or something on a summit. Maybe they watched your presentation, right? And they're like, oh, I kind of get where that person is coming from. And I'd like to maybe have a session with them, or, learn from them or something. So it's kind of more about that. It's about that findability.
Because we have vulnerable bodies in a complex world, and each one of us is carrying some kind of fear, some kind of response to our experiences in the world that other people possibly have no way of knowing. Most likely, most of the time, have no way of knowing. Sometimes we do, most of the time we don't. And when a client comes to us in a Reiki session, we usually don't know. They might not know what the specific stimulus might be that could bring up some old fear, some place inside of them that has not yet processed a frightening experience. And we are lucky, friends, that we live in a time when there is so much information and research available about what trauma is, how it materializes in the body, how the brain chemistry and the body and the emotional landscape all coordinate together to either process our traumas and clear them out of our system as we are designed to do, or hold on to them and create spaces inside of us that can be activated in the world. Now, that can be a scary thing to think about when we think about our roles as Reiki practitioners, where we are inherently opening up spaces of vulnerability and intimacy and privacy with often strangers. We're opening ourselves to vulnerability, and they are opening themselves to vulnerability. And we have the best intentions for that space. I assume we do. There are people who do not have good intentions and misuse their power as a practitioner, but we're not talking about those people. That's not us, right? I'm assuming we all are here with the best intentions. And so it can be a little bit daunting to think about this fact that people bring in triggers that we don't know and that they might not know. But here's the good news. We now know a lot about how this system works. And by system, I mean our physiology and with respect to trauma. And we know more and more every year about how to create conditions of safety and choice and consent, whether or not we know what a person is dealing with. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
I think there's an element of vulnerability in collaborating. If you're hesitating, like, oh, and that's why we want to do this. And that's why we're going to have the breakout session. So you've got Christian's, Reiki Business Collective. I mean, but we just want to give you that push, like just ask somebody, hey, I was thinking about doing this. You want to do this with me? Because I'm scared, and it turns out that everybody's a little bit nervous. Everybody, is kind of fumbling their way through their business.
But it really helps. I mean, even you had said, even going into this talk today, normally I get a bit nervous before talks, but I was like, oh, but I'm doing it with Karen. One of the things that is necessary to move into the collaboration mindset is to move out of the competition mindset. And Reiki can really help us with that. Just help us shift from that scarcity mentality to an abundance mentality. And it allows you then to work together with someone who will help your business grow. And it's not a thought about taking business away or anything like that. It's more about growing together.
When you get stuck in that, then that really limits you. because when you come from a mentality of like, there's plenty, and William Rand emphasizes this, there's plenty to go around for everybody. And when you collaborate with others, because if you come from the point of view, like the people that are supposed to come to me will come to me, people who are supposed to go to that person will go to that person. And all of us are needed. God, all of us are needed at this time. Everybody, come on. So when you make that shift, then the creativity just blossoms, and it helps your business and it helps the other person's business.
Yeah. And you'll usually find that there's gaps in skills and there are things
Oh,
that
yeah.
Karen's way better at than I am, and things that I might be better at than she is. And then together it forms this great thing. And a lot of it, when you do a collaboration too, is about how you frame it. And so I reached out to Karen, and what I told the students was like, hey guys, you get 2 for 1. And so rather than be disappointed that I was going to be away for 4 hours of class, my students were thrilled that they got to have both of us. And so once you do decide on a collaboration effort, it's also how you frame it when you present it to others as well. And really, our students were thrilled, Karen.
Yeah, because if she hadn't framed it that way, they might have gone, I said it for Pam. Who is this woman? I don't want this woman. Right? Like that's not whom I paid for. Like you talk funny. So because she reframed it, they were like, oh yeah, we get 2 for 1.